Please put your hands together for our first guest. She is an actress and interior designer whose body of work includes Oxford Blues, Leviathan, The Kindred, and of course, Max Headroom. Today she joins us to discuss the role of Star Lab scientist Dr. Christina McGee. Please welcome Amanda Pays. All right. So let's wait. Okay, we'll give John the center square. Okay. And next, keep it going for an actor whose body of work includes Dawson's Creek, Teen Wolf, and the audio drama Powder Burns. Today he joins us to discuss the role of forensic scientist Barry Allen, aka the Flash of Earth 90, his misguided clone Pollux, Henry Allen of Earth 1, Jay Garrick, the Flash of Earth 3 and of New Earth 2. Please welcome John Wesley Shipp.
So, no requests? Can I have a hug?
Sure, yeah.
We're rule breakers, especially this one over here.
Oh, yes. Love breaking rules. Oh, I've got to use the mic.
Gotta use the mic, yeah.
It's a bit serious, isn't it? Hi, everyone.
Well, we'll stand. We won't be seated long, so it'll get less
Okay.
serious.
Oh, guys, welcome to Columbus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we're so glad to have you here. Of course, you and I, we go back several years.
Yes.
And Amanda, we did this on our virtual platform, so we finally get to do this in person. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see you. So what I'd love to do is let's just go ahead and start off. How did the gig of The Flash originally begin for each of you?
Oh, right into it, huh?
Right into it. Well, I can't remember myself, but I know they just rolled the Brinks truck up to Amanda's door.
No, stop it.
And they started
No.
unloading the gold bars.
No, but actually, this is a question I have for you, John, because we didn't test originally, right?
I did.
You did.
You were chosen.
I was chosen. Oh, I was offered the role because I just done Max Headroom, right?
Right.
And did you test with anyone else just out of interest?
No, I didn't. It was always you.
Okay.
It was always you, because who can imagine people having to memorize the lines and the technical jargon
all that stuff. Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
of that stuff, and to say it with her beautiful voice and luscious accent.
Well,
you know,
English.
she made it
Shut
sing.
God's sake. Okay. So
And by the way, this was our relationship on set too.
So I'd just done Max Headroom and then got offered The Flash, Danny Bilson and Paul
Paul DeMille.
yes. And then met John. Well, he just showed up looking like God, you know. Wow. I was like, ooh, this one's cute. Might have to dump the husband.
Oh no.
Anyway, carry on.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Well then, for me, it was not that easy. It was, I believe they told me I was the first guy they saw, and they saw about 60 guys. And they narrowed it down to 2 of us. And there was one reading. There was a reading for the network. There was a reading for the Warner Brothers Studios. And then there was the network test, which takes years off your life. You walk into a room and there are 20 executives from the studio and the network, and you have to go in there and do the scenes and convince them that you're the guy.
Right.
And so it was me and one other guy that were chosen to go to the network, and we tested, and then they asked to see more film, and then I heard that Jeff Skansky, the head president of CBS, had said, the reason I was cast, I hope it isn't true, he said, that guy's head would look good on a lunchbox.
It does look good on a lunchbox. Oh, that's funny, but good for you. Good for you. Well, that you know.
It was an amazing process. You know, it was really my jump from daytime, you know, which in those days, you didn't jump around as much.
No.
From daytime to primetime, you certainly didn't jump from primetime to features. Now it's all fluid. Well, daytime is almost completely gone, unfortunately,
Yes.
but yeah.
Streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. We're in a very interesting place of evolution, and everybody thinks they know where it's going, but they really don't.
Right.
So.
Well, people are watching content on their watches.
Kind of like the world, right?
Kind of like exactly a reflection.
Absolutely. There's images floating around the internet a long time. It's just so funny. Those early promo shots of you in the costume, and then you, but you're wearing an outfit which is it's a little too racy for what the character kind of ended up being.
What was that episode? What was that episode?
It wasn't an episode. I think it was promo shots.
Oh.
And you're wearing a very...
No, you're probably talking about the Bad Tina episode.
With the leather
With
jacket
the leather and the
big
cleavage.
top knot hair kind of.
Okay, that's what it's from. Yeah, okay, yeah. So they're out there and they're floating around out there all the time. And
in fact, I have some on my table. Come by. She'll be happy. She'll be happy to sign them for you. They're knockouts. It was like, wow,
Are you
Dr.
talking about
McGee.
my cleavage or
Who
the
knew?
picture?
Interesting thing, if I may, about that episode, because it impresses me. The director of that episode, Tina, Is That You? Was the name of it.
Oh, right.
And where she turns into the bad Tina, and she's got a split personality, which she does in real life. But no, not really. But the director of that episode was Bill Frakes, who was the DP of Bullet. So he had quite a pedigree, and he made sure that the camera angles were advantageous to us. The DPs always wanted to shoot the murals on the walls behind us, and he kept saying, we're shooting people, not walls. Raise the camera to eye level, raise the camera to eye level. So that was interesting to me, probably more interesting to me than it was to you, but there it is.
It's a good story, John.
That's right, because you did that, the evil version of you, and then you, Pollux, you're confused and more misguided than an evil clone.
I didn't realize I was evil. I thought I was just having fun.
You were bad. You were...
It's like, this is fun.
Evil is
This is a fun outfit.
Evil is too strong a word. You were a bad girl.
I was bad.
You were a bad, very bad
Who else
girl.
was in that episode?
Oh, I only had eyes for you, baby.
Okay.
From what you can recall, what do you think may have been the craziest day you each had on the set?
God, I can't remember way back then. How many years ago was it now?
Years ago.
I think there's like one wacky day or something.
Well, John was always, we had to, tread carefully, around John because he was having to put that suit on every day. It seemed like he was always in his trailer for hours on end. It was like, okay, let's just see what his mood's like when he comes out.
At one point, Danny Bilson, they actually discussed hiring a psychologist for me. And I said, Danny, it's not a psychological problem. It's hot.
It's hot, and I
It's
hate
hot.
it.
It's horrible to work in.
And it was like when the scene ended, can I get the suit off now? I mean, he'd literally be, that was tough.
But they were all tough. We didn't have CGI in those days, and so everything was live action practical effects, right? And so if we wanted to get 7 seconds of running, well, I had to run and run and run. Or the eating scenes, I would have a bucket. I'd eat and eat, spit out and eat, or card tricks. You'd have to film for 12 minutes to get 7 to 10 seconds of film time. Now, on the new show, when Jay Garrick shows up and is fighting Savitar, and they're going through the woods and he's falling off the building and they're chasing and they're fighting through the woods and it's very exciting. You know what my job was? And then the digital double took over. So there have been improvements in a quarter of a century.
Fantastic. Are you still doing that show?
I am, actually. And I also, before I forget it, be sure and catch, thanks.
Yay! Yeah.
Be sure and catch the season/show finale of Stargirl this coming Wednesday, December 7th.
Oh.
And that's all I can say about that.
What is Stargirl?
Stargirl, Jeff Johns wrote that in honor of his sister who died when she was in her teenage years. Of course, Jeff Johns is one of the big comic book writers. And then he went on to produce that show for the CW. And it has Luke Wilson, Breck Bassinger, Joel McHale. I mean, a bunch of... It's really a wonderful, wonderful show and a wonderful set to have been able to cross over.
Okay.
To.
How long has that been running?
That's been right. It's coming up the end of its 3rd season. They were hoping to get picked up, but Jeff Johns, being the terrific guy that he is. He didn't want to end it on a cliffhanger in case it didn't go another season. So he actually shot 2 endings. And it would be very interesting to see how they piece that together this Wednesday,
Because it's
December
ending,
7th.
because you're saying it's not been picked up?
It is ending. It has not been renewed. Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned this before, and I'd love you to go over this because it's always fun to hear your recollections of it. Certainly the original 1990 costume, the sweat and everything else.
Yeah.
You always seem to struggle a little bit with the Jay Garrick helmet.
You mean
what
the
is
fact
that?
that
What is that helmet?
You know what it is? Jay Garrick, cosplayer. Come on, stand up and show. Yeah.
Oh.
The prop department is going to be very angry with you when they discover you've taken off with their helmet.
Yeah, that's a tough one to look good in,
Listen,
isn't it?
So
you know,
he wears that hat.
You know how I deal with?
Tries to.
I deal with that hat. I walk into the scene, I take it off, and I put it under my arm. That's how I deal with the helmet. Right. No, yeah, the helmet is really something. But you know, the good news is I can take it off.
Great.
And so it's not.
You mean in the
glued.
scene? In the scene.
In the scene,
It's
between scenes, when I was in the red thing in 1990, it was glued in. Once you were in, you were in.
Yes.
Of course, nobody wants to hear those of us who have been privileged, and I mean that sincerely, to play these iconic parts, get up here and whine about, oh, my suit was so hard. Having said that, we all have our stories,
Yeah.
you know.
And not everybody's an actor, so it's okay to talk about like the hardships of whatever it is you do. Like, what about the long hours, the days? I mean, I had a son, Oliver, who was probably 6 months old when I did The Flash, and I remember crying.
It was brutal.
On my way home at 4 a.m, having done a 17-hour day, thinking, not sure if this is going to work. You know, those were long days.
No, it was. A regular television schedule is grueling enough, but anything involving effects or high concepts or whatever, that's another 4 or 5 hours on everybody.
Particularly live action practical effects, because if we wanted to blow something up and shoot flames 35 feet in the air, we really had to do it. We were blowing stuff up
on a daily basis.
Alleys behind Hollywood Boulevard during the first Gulf War. So it was like very...
Take cover, is it?
Very scary from time to time. Some alarm calls went out. But yeah, the transportation department, they were putting in more than one 25-hour day.
Yeah, because they have to get there how long before everyone arrives every morning, and then how late after so they're doing, like...
But I don't know how, I won't talk about you in the third person, you did it, because I didn't have children.
Right.
You know, and how you balanced...
I gave up acting, how about that?
That was her solution. She's now a brilliant designer. But you know, I want to talk about that for a minute, because I was thinking about the similarities, and I'd like to ask you about the similarities between creating a character and creating a house.
Yes.
Because I was reading this beautiful article about you and Corbin and your work, and it was showing each room and how each piece was very carefully put together to tell a story.
So I actually did have 4 children and loved being a mother and wanted to be at home with my children. You know, why else would I have them? So the acting got kind of pushed aside. I dabbled in it for a few more years, but ultimately I discovered that, a creative outlet for me was creating environments and redoing old properties and bringing new life into them. And that was became something that I then started to make money with, and have been doing it with Corbin for the last, 30 years since we were married, actually. So yes, it's been very creatively rewarding for me, and has taken the place of performing and creating a character. And so, yes, I think if you're a creative person, as long as you find what your passion is, it can be many things. It can evolve and change.
And if you're not following Amanda Pays on Instagram, you need to look it up and follow her right now. Because, don't listen to the lady behind me. because I look at the stuff and the stories that she and Corbin
not everyone's
are
interested in
telling
what I'm doing.
in these properties, and just to look at what they're creating and their design concepts and the yards and the paths and the
Oh, John,
I
stop.
mean, it's beautiful. It is
going on?
like, she always does this, she always takes the piss. I'm embarrassingly earnest.
Yeah.
She takes the piss out of me, but it's okay.
Don't listen to him.
But if you go, I go and I look and I comment, and I just want to look at these pictures because there's something, it's almost like meditation when you stare at something that's so carefully crafted and constructed and unified to tell a particular story of that property, whether here or in Europe.
Thank you, John.
Which you've gotten
very
acclaim
kind.
for, so it should be recognized.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. Anyway, that's what I'm doing now.
When did you guys, gigs come and go, you know, you work on something and it's done, you move on to the next thing. When did you both begin to realize that Flash never really went away for you? I mean, when people were still coming up to you, hey, you're Flash, right? You know, it's, oh, yeah, you're Flash. It's like, when did you sort of realize this is still floating?
I'm curious, would you get recognized more for Max Headroom or for Flash?
Max Headroom, probably.
Yeah, that was
yeah,
such
the
an
Flash.
iconic.
Well, the Flash only lasted. I mean, one
season, 23
So, and then when you move on to other projects and you're playing other characters, it's not so you're not so notable for that one character. But you've been in the world much more, so you may have huge recognition for your character.
It's really astounding. All the original, they call it the OG Flash, makes me feel like a classic car or something, are available and they're streaming for free on Tubi. And I went to see what the transfers looked like, and they've all been brightened. And I happened to put a scene where, I don't know, Barry is like got bug up his butt about something, and he's talking to Tina, he says, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, and he walks out of the room, and you pick up a pile of folders, and you grab them, and you slam them down on your desk, and I'm like, that's it right there. And that's why my Barry didn't have an iris, because the chemistry between us and the strength of your character is what they wanted to focus on.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't do more with the new Flash. I thought there was a little moment or a spark that could have kind of been developed.
Do you remember we did a scene sitting behind computers?
Oh, that scene, yes.
We did a whole scene where Henry Allen and Dr. McGee are flirting and we're going over things, and he shot it. The director shot it beautifully, and it was beautifully lit, but the episode was long.
Yeah.
I keep hoping, like I had one with Michelle Harrison as Jay Garrick that was just recently released as an extra on the DVD of season 8, I believe. And I keep hoping our scene will pop up.
Oh, so you mean a scene that wasn't
That was cut.
That was cut, came up on a...
As an extra on the DVD set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, before I turn over all these questions, I just have to say this. I have to thank you both. I thank you for your talents, I thank you for professionalism, and I thank you for the performances you brought to this role. Yeah, it was a one and done season. We would have wanted more, but it moved the needle. It really helped establish that, you know, the superhero stuff doesn't have to necessarily be silly. Everybody in that mindset at the time was still kind of Adam West, Pow Zoom, Batman. The show brought credibility, and we needed the Flash to get to where we are today. Right. And again, I thank you for what you guys contributed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All questions should go to John, okay?
What I love to do now is I love to invite our audience to come up with their questions. So I'm just going to hold the microphone up here. So who wants to be first? Come on down. No, you got to come to me. I'm not Donahue. I'm not going to run after you. If you're old enough to know that reference, God bless you.
Donahue. I did Donahue. I sang You Needed Me on Donahue as a daytime TV. Anyway, that's best forgotten.
Is the caller there? Hi, what's your name?
Ash.
Ash, what do you want to know?
What is some advice you could give someone who's trying to get involved in the TV/superhero industry?
If you can,
From what perspective? Creatively or in front of the camera?
Really just any advice that could really apply to just about anybody.
I can only give you the advice that my first acting teacher in college at Indiana University gave me. If you can be happy doing anything else, go do it.
My agent gave me that.
Oh, really? I think that's one of the pearls of wisdom that's been passed down. You know, any advice I would have, because I got involved, I started my professional career, which I consider doing acting to the exclusion of anything else, at the end of 1979. So any information I would have would not be applicable. I would just say follow your passion. If you have to do it, if it's something you love, do it and get it in front of as many people as you possibly can. But there are no guarantees. The work is hard in the beginning, during, and after. And it's just something you really have to feel like you're called, I think, to do in order to. I love the work. I hate the business. That's kind of where I stand.
And this business, the comic, what would you call this business? This
The whole comic world.
The comic world. All these actors have actually started being in the profession. They wanted to be actors, so I think you have to as John said, want to be an actor and do everything and anything else, as well as be a performer in this industry, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, I was very leery in 1990 to put on a superhero suit. When they said The Flash, I was like, okay, because I only knew that characters had been spoofed. And I talked to April Webster, I'll wrap this up, multiple Emmy Award-winning casting director of Lost and a whole bunch of things. Just wonderful friend. You know, she's the one that said, Amanda's the one, anointed Amanda, and then let me audition 45 times. But I forgot where I was going with that story. So
Advice.
Don't give up the day job.
Advice. I said, I just don't think that kind of comedy is what I'm good at or what I'm trained in. I already had my 2 daytime Emmys. I'd been on Broadway. I trained in Truth of the Moment. And April said, that's why we're coming to you. She said, if it were going to be what you're describing, do you think I would be involved with it? She said, just read the hour-and-a-half pilot. Just read Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo's treatment. She said, that's all I ask. And as I read it, I read about family dynamics, I read about relationships, I read about the possibilities laterally here, and I was like, I can play all of that. So essentially, I played Barry Allen. By the time the suit came out, the lights went down, and the Danny Elfman music came up, my job was essentially over. My job was to play Barry as truthfully as I possibly could so that you could identify with him, so that when I went into the suit, you came with me. And then we spent the quarter of the episode looking at the world from the inside out. I don't know if that answered your question, but...
Best of fortune, and I will add, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're welcome.
It is. You're right.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, Eddie. I started with George Reeves, you know, in The Adventures of Superman, and you just said something that this is about. You said comics and whatnot, they weren't taken seriously. And I have to say, I watched Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve, and the next night, I had my first flying dream. And I mean, I was up there. He showed me how to take off. It's not a jump, you just kind of float up and it was like a long dream, and I had a great time.
Isn't that wonderful? That's great.
And my first super speed dream was after your show. And I really liked.
Careful.
For the first time, it was a serious superhero shows, and these people don't know. We went through Adam West, which, okay, fine, whatever.
Which I loved. I loved that show.
Yeah.
No disparagement.
We can all agree.
We all agree it was a
wonderful.
great and iconic show.
The one thing is, everybody tried to copy the Adam West stuff, and they didn't have the wit. That was the.
I was 8, 9 years old, okay, and it was great to me, but you were the first show that I saw that this genre really got treated seriously, and that's my comment. I just love the show. I'm glad that somebody finally, made the paradigm shift that needed to happen.
Thank you, bud.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Honored
Thank you.
to be a
Hey,
part.
Thank you.
Yeah, red. You got a red one. I got that shirt too, obviously. So, hey. Hey, what's your name?
Dale.
Dale, what do you want to know?
Hey, so like he was talking about, Superman, the last movie I think was 84, Batman, of course, 1989, your show pretty much right after. Were they any talks behind stage, like, hey, they might be a Justice League pairing?
I'm going to say this, it probably shouldn't. DC is kind of slow to the party when you compare them to Marvel in terms of combining universes, combining TV and movies, So at that time, they were just hoping to get, because in those days, remember, there were 4 networks. You had to carry 20 million viewers to stay on the air. Today you can have a hit, CBS. Today you can have a hit with 4 to 6 million. So they were just hoping to get one show that they could engage enough of a mainstream audience in before comics went mainstream, and the rest of the world found out what you guys already knew, that these were serious stories to be taken seriously and inspiring. And so they just pretty much were concentrating on that. I will say one thing, Batman and The Flash were in development at Warner Brothers at the same time around a new way of telling these stories for television.
And don't forget, there's a scene where Amanda is typing a letter to Professor Carter Hall at Star Labs, which is Hawkman. So there was that Easter egg that was being visited. Yes. So they were probably. I will say this much too. Up until the Avengers movie, the people who own this stuff, they were like, "Why are we going to put all of our eggs in one basket?" And then after Avengers made $1 billion, if you notice, 2 weeks later, that's when Time Warner said, "Justice League, the movie."
I just remember the set. The set was essentially Batman and Flash looked the same darkness.
Look up Alex Ross. He's done some great portraits of his Flash and '89 Batman and all that stuff. It's good stuff. All right, Chief. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Joseph.
Hey, Joseph.
First, I want to say thanks for the comment on the helmet. It certainly was fun walking down the street wearing this.
I can imagine.
We've had the pleasure of seeing characters from the 90s Flash, in the current Flash, and in your case, Stargirl. What are the odds that we see either of your characters in Titans or Doom Patrol or any other DC shows or movies in the future?
La 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 la. If I had any information, which honestly I don't, I wouldn't be able to share that. I can share that I will be returning to Vancouver next month to shoot more Flash. And as I said, be sure and check out the season finale of Stargirl on Wednesday, December 7th at 8 o'clock.
You're in
Is there information in
Oh,
there?
wait, no, I should give you a red one. All right. there you go. All right, give me the blue one back. All right, thank you, boss. Hey, what's your name?
Greg.
What do you want to know, Greg?
You guys finally got some closure during the Crisis on Infinite Earths for at least your character. What was it like to finally be able to give closure to that?
That was the crisis where they lifted the scene from the 1990 show, I Believe in You, Tina, I Believe in You Too, Barry, and I'm running on the treadmill to stop the antimatter. Do you want me to speak to that? Yes. I'll tell you, I did not know, and I don't know at what point. Let me tell you one thing. You watch it, you do something, you know what you did, you don't know what they got, you don't know what shots they're gonna choose, right? And so when you see it, you go, I wonder why they chose that shot, or I wish they had directed that, or I wish I'd played that moment a little. Crisis Experience was one of the few things that I watched and said, I love absolutely everything about it. The writing, the directing, the fact that my Flash was always out of focus when there were shots of Grant's Barry, the fact that I got to welcome Black Lightning into, that was a very proud moment for me. And the fact that I did not know when I went to looping, where we replaced effective dialogue, that they said, we have a surprise for you. That's all they said. And so I'm getting on the treadmill, and I'm doing it, and I'm seeing it being replayed, and I'm replacing Keep Riding the Lightning Kid. keep making us all proud, you know? And then suddenly the sound cuts out and I hear my voice saying, I have faith in you, Tina. And then it cuts to my face 30 years ago. And then it cuts to this lovely shot of Amanda saying, I have faith in you too, Barry. And I tell you, my knees buckled. And then it went back to me running to stop the antimatter, and I ran so fast that I dissolved. You know, there was nothing left but dust and a lightning bolt, you know. But I have to say that for me, that was the perfect full circle. It took 28 years, right? But I felt that I got some closure. But what did it? What made it was the fact that they went in, and instead of doing a collage of that 90s show, they chose that moment. I believe in you, I believe in you, I have faith in you too. So that we knew not only what Barry was running away from, but what he was running toward. And I'm gonna brag about this one review because it said, the way it was written, directed, and played turned what could have been a harrowing moment into a triumphant one. And that was like one of those moments as an actor you go, we got it, you know?
There you go, thank you. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Jacob. So, ever since the 2014 Flash came out, I mean, I was 7, so I've been watching that for quite a long time. When that came out,
quite a long time in your year.
in my life, yeah. And so, when that came out, were you ever like a mentor for Grant Gustin or?
You know, I was asked that question on Dawson's Creek because where I was playing with a very young cast, and they said, do you ever give the young actors any advice? And I said, God, I hope not. Because that would be insufferable. You know, Grant Gustin didn't need any instruction from me. And I think what they got so right about casting Grant, and when I found out I'd be playing his father, I checked out the backdoor pilot on Arrow where he shows up and he tells Oliver, you know, his deal, his story, his backstory. And I saw this wide open instrument person. I didn't see any acting, you know. All I saw was him telling the truth of what he was saying. And I was like, oh yeah, I can work with that. And he knew I had been the Flash. He was aware of that. I knew that he was taking on an iconic role, what some of his fears, hopes, and dreams might be. And I knew why I was there, to hold up a mirror to him, to show him all of the qualities that I saw in him, that I knew would make him a tremendous Flash for today. And that worked into the father-son relationship, because the father, Henry, was telling Barry, just go live your life, I'm fine. So there were moments when we were in that jail cell, and we were talking, in the phone booth in the jail, Iron Heights, where it would get confused. Is it Henry talking to Barry? Is it John talking to Grant? Go back and watch those scenes. They're beautifully written. And some of my favorite scenes of my entire career.
There you go, thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Raylan. I was wondering when, in the, I don't remember what season it was, of the 2014 Flash, when there was Zoom pretending to be Jay, which was your character. Did you like those episodes where you were like in Zoom's like prison area?
I did not know that they were planning to turn me into Jay Garrick. The actor who was actually in the iron helmet in the prison, they told him to study 3 actors, and you can see that I talk a lot with my hands, and to see the way we use our hands to express ourselves. The day that they shot all of those scenes, it was that actor, and they said, it's John. And so he had so studied that my friends thought it was me, you know? I mean, this is somebody else in the... Yeah, and you never saw his face. So to have done that good of a job, I mean, that's a real actor. I mean, and he never got recognition for it. I didn't know when those scenes aired. You want to know how I found out? Is it okay if I tell this story? I am talking too much.
Loving it, loving every moment.
Okay. I was going up to shoot 4 episodes of season 2. I figured that's the end of Henry Allen. I figured I'd get 1, maybe 2 good seasons, right? And so I go to a costume fitting, and I'm trying on this shredded, looked like prison suit, but it was brown. And I'm like, okay, Henry Allen's already out of jail, so I'm not exactly, is this a flashback? What are we doing here? And then casually, the costume designer says, of course, you'll be fitted for the iron helmet separately.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, the what? The iron what? She said, you don't know? I said, no. She said, oh my God, I didn't tell you. Then I'm off set doing a scene with Jesse Martin and Grant Gustin, and we're in between takes. And Grant said, so did you hear what you're gonna be doing next season? I said, yeah, man, I'm the man in the iron mask, go figure. And they're like, yeah. That's all you know? And I'm like, there's more? They said, you're the real Jay Garrick. I said, get out of town. It was, then I called Greg Berlanti, and we had a long discussion about how I would die as one character in the penultimate episode. I would be revealed as the man in the iron mask who was the doppelganger of Barry Allen, who turned out to be the real Jay Garrick, which was the character you guys wanted me to play from the beginning. And yes. I said, Greg, take me out of the equation. That's just superb channeling of fan expectation and storytelling.
There you go.
Yeah.
I told you there are no short answers after 60.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Brad. I was wondering, you were talking about the suit and how it was like glued and hot and everything. Have you gotten to like relate with other superhero actors and just kind of go like, these suits are...
Well, everybody sort of knows. When I was very aware of Grant at the beginning, because at the beginning they were still gluing his masks to his face. And so once he was in, he was in. And the stage under the lights would get hot. And they had a cooling unit as a vest that they would plug me into an ice chest in between takes to wake me up. They didn't have that for him, but they had a cooling tent on stage. And he would be, leaning up against the wall. I'd see sweat pouring down his face. I'd say, man, go to your cooling tent. This is episode 1. Okay, you're not gonna make it. And I remember saying, I remember overhearing 2 of the ADs going, well, it's a wide shot of Grant, of the Flash running. Should we use a double or should we use, they said, oh, Grant could do it. I said, hold on. I said, may I just suggest that any time you can use the double, you do it, or your lead is not gonna make it through the season.
Also, he was thin. He's a
right.
petite, physique.
Right. And so hopefully that had a positive impact on it.
There you go. All right. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. John, I know it's gonna be hard for you.
Short.
But do you think we can do? We think we can do a lightning round. Okay. We can go this down. Okay. Yeah. Make sure you stay seated. That'll help a lot. All right. We're going to lightning round. I am gonna come on down here, just kind of go real short and tight. We're gonna see if we can get this done as quickly as possible, and we'll try to get in. Okay. What's your question?
Are both of you gonna be in either the movie and the next season?
We have no information about that except that I will be going to shoot more Flash in January.
What movie?
All right.
What's your favorite part about being in the 2014 Flash?
One of my favorite parts was playing Henry to Grant Sperry, getting to participate in him assuming that role and watching him grow into it had to be one of my absolute favorite.
What you got?
Oh, so as a continuation to that, how does it feel to be like a mentor to both Barry Allen, Grant Gustin's characters, and like his children in the future as well too?
How does it what? I'm sorry.
How does it feel to be a mentor?
Oh, great. I was hoping we would have a chance to do more Uncle Jay, Bart, Nora scenes, because I love when I come in with the big belly burgers, and the kids, and I'm going, okay, what's going on with you two? I love playing that relationship. It was great.
What you got?
If you were to play one other comic book character besides the ones you guys have already played, who would you want to play?
I have played 5 characters across 4 different shows over 30 years. I think I'm good. Do you have one? Poison Ivy, perhaps?
Ooh.
Yes. Poison Ivy sounds good.
Sounds very good.
I know Cruella de Vil's not in this as well.
It works.
That works. That sounds good.
That works. That absolutely works. What you got?
What got you into this profession? Like, was it a person, a movie? What got you into it?
Will you take it? Okay, I'll take it. What got me into the... Well, I went to drama school in England when I was 18. I wanted to be an actress. Actually, luckily my father was an agent, so when I left drama school, he was able to help me get my first job. And then I fell in love with it, so that was my experience.
I mean, to look at her. I mean, please. I mean, she wanted to be an actor. She was going to be an actor. Go back and watch the scenes on Tubi and watch how much she does just with a look, with her eyes. It minimalist, but so powerful and effective.
Oh, thank you, John.
I really mean
my best friend.
Sorry, I know it sounds hopelessly sugary, but it happens to be the truth.
GalaxyCon 2021, this was the cast of The Flash, and that was our time.